Hi everyone. Maybe I can just wait for 2 minutes we start. Hello, my name is Grace Kasiva. Thank you so much for joining us yet again for another Facebook live session. Always a pleasure. Nakuanga kitu ya kufurahisha sana to always have these sessions with you guys. Thank you for your interactions. Thank you for for always joining us, for the questions, for the comments. And so yet again on the 14th we have yet another Facebook live session with you guys. And today the sun has been up. I am grateful for the sun. I think kumekuwa na baridi for so long. I'm just always grateful for the sun. I don't know what you're grateful for today. In case you join us, you can be able to comment down there. What are you grateful for today? I think that is the question I would love to start. Yes. Today afternoon, even before we begin our live session. What are you grateful for today? What is it that you've learned to really appreciate and not to take for granted? Yes, so for me lately it has been the sun, jua. So as you join in, I encourage you to stick until the end. Today's topic is really interesting. It's boundaries, personal boundaries. And the specific statement is saying yes to others may be a no to you, is a no to you sometimes. And vice versa, saying no to you may be a yes to someone else. So and before we go into that, I would love, thank you so much for I'm seeing someone has joined us. Asante sana. Nimeweka kwa comment section. You can feel free to comment and let me know what you're grateful for today. My name is Grace Kasiva. This is Nzumari Africa. Always a pleasure to have you around. Always a pleasure to do these sessions with you. For the interaction, for the networking, the connection, we are always happy. We are a youth-based organization, that is centered on the youth, improving their social economic status and their mental health. And so we are also very happy to be having a lot of youth interactions today, lately. So and even as you join in, I am going to post a survey form for you to kindly fill it for me. As you come in, you will find the form in the comment section. Kindly fill it for me. It's a pre-survey form. I'm going to also post a post-survey form. And so last week we were talking about connecting and protecting, because we were ushering in the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which is in September. And the main day that is celebrated was last week, Friday, on the 10th of September. The theme of this year was creating hope through action. And so I don't know what you have done to create hope to someone else's life through an action. And actions don't have to be so big. Maybe kumpigia tu simu, kumtext, kumjulia hali, etc. That is something that you can try doing that can really be go a long way in ensuring that we are preserving lives, we are taking care of ourselves and others, and also we are living life with a good mental health. And so today we're talking about boundaries, mipaka. And this whole week, across all our social media platforms, that will be our topic of the week. In our WhatsApp, in our Twitter, our Instagram, and also our Facebook group page, Nzumari Africa Youth Gathering Space. Kindly, if you're not free, always make sure to just check out our posters. They will give you all the information as to when and where and the topic of discussion that day. And so I am here to introduce the topic, and today we are going to focus on personal boundaries. So yes, and saying yes to you, to others, maybe saying no to you. Yes, so let me ask, what are boundaries? To those who are in, to those who are watching us today, to those who are live, what are boundaries? Boundaries ni nini? Uh, you know, yes, boundaries ni nini? Kuna hizi za map za atlas za kuangalia, inachora how far this country imefika, this county, hapa ndio Kenya imefika, and then Uganda, and then Tanzania, South Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, etc. There's that line that ensures that Kenyans live here, Ugandans here, etc. So when it comes to our personal lives, what are boundaries? I think they are still the same definition. Ni mipaka. How far is too far? These are limits that we set for ourselves in our relationships. So today we are talking about personal boundaries. So in short, you're talking about limits that you have set personally for yourself in your relationships or in your life. And boundaries are usually a measure of self-esteem. They show us, they somehow portray, it's like a mirror of our esteem and how highly we esteem ourselves. And so when we're talking about boundaries, these are the limits of of the accepted behavior that you've allowed. Yani, huyu mtu atakutreat aje, huyu mtu atakwambia nini, huyu mtu atakufanyia nini. Hizi ni vitu umeaccept either in your family, either in your relationships, either at work, yeah, in your society, in your estate, in your community, and sometimes even in church. Thank you so much for the person nimeona amejoining. Yes, hi Abby, how are you? Always a pleasure. If you can do me a favor and share the live recording to your social media platform for other people to see and to join in, that can be so good. So nimeuliza swali today, what are you grateful for? So maybe you can, and I hope this time round ninasikika vizuri. I hope unanisikia vizuri. So if you can hear me clearly, kindly let me know. And also answer for me the question, what are you grateful for? Yes, what are you grateful for today? Ni nini unashukuru? Thank you, umeniambia niko sawa, thank you. So answer the question for me, what are you grateful for today? Yes, so even as we continue, today we're talking about boundaries, and nilikuwa nimeanza kusema boundaries ni mipaka tumejiwekea, ni mipaka tumejiwekea, and how far this person can come, how far huyu mtu atanifikia, for how far. So before I continue, umesema you're grateful for life. Yeah, Thank you. Nilikuwa nimesema I'm grateful for the sun. I've always been grateful for the sun, I think for the last 2 months because ile baridi imekuwa. So yes, na pia nimesema was you are coming in, sijui kama ulikuwa umesikia, but boundaries ni kama mirror, inakuonyesha of how much you esteem yourself. So a boundary is like a mirror of how much you esteem yourself. And so and so having self-respect, even before we continue, having self-respect is something that will produce boundaries. However, you may be having self-respect and maybe and perhaps boundaries zako hazijulikani bado because haujazi verbalize. And so we are going to go to that point of where we get to know what boundaries really are, the types, and how to know that you've set a boundary, how to know that you've not set a boundary, and why it is hard to set the boundaries. So let me ask now, when it comes to boundaries, the first question maybe you can ask yourself is, how much attention do you give people as soon as they ask for it? Mtu akikupigia simu sai akikwambie I want you to come to where I am. Ama you're talking with somebody and they are requesting your audience, or they're asking a question, or they want you to do something for them. How quickly do you respond to this person? That's the one question you should ask yourself as we're talking about personal boundaries. How quickly do you respond to this person if someone calls you? How available are you for someone? Swali ingine ya kuuliza, ni hiyo sasa. Are you always available for this person? Are you always available ukiitwa? Hi, please nifanyie hii. Aki nifanyie favor. Hi, nene. Are you always available? Is it always a yes at the expense of what you really want to do? At your own expense. And then I think another most important question we should ask ourselves is this: how do you feel after spending time with these people? Ndio utake kujua where your boundary lies with this person. It is always good to ask yourself, how do I feel after spending time with this person? If it is your family member, how do you feel? If it is your friend, how do you feel? So these are some of the questions we can begin to ask ourselves as we reflect on the boundaries to set with ourselves or with others. In the comment section, I can see Kevin Oyugi Onguma. Thank you so much for joining, Kevin. Thank you for your comment. Now, I am happy to see you. Feel free to share the video for other people to join in. You're always welcomed to do that. Abi is saying, kama ni kitu itanisaidia na peana attention, fine. Kama ni kitu inakusaidia na kupeana, of course utapeana attention. Lakini kama ni kitu unajua inakuumiza mahali, will you give the attention? That is the question we want to ask. Kwa wale wanatujoin leo, thank you so much kwa kukuja. We are talking about boundaries. Na tumeuliza swali moja mzuri sana, ni how much attention do you give to somebody? Are you always available? And what do you feel when you're spending time with this person? So I want us to also note something, that boundaries zetu will always probably need an updating as we go by. The boundaries ulikuwa umeset when we were young are not the same boundaries you've set now that you're old. Because as people age, they change. Watu hubadilika because of circumstances and experiences and life. So unapata people really do change actually, and so do boundaries change. For someone who did not have self-respect in the past, huyo mtu atakuja if this person perhaps goes for therapy or begins to read books about self-respect or meets mentors and role models who can help them with self-respect. This person boundaries zake zitaanza kuupdate na ataanza set clear boundaries. However, I would like us to now come into another section of us tunajiuliza, what do healthy boundary ni gani? Ukitaka kujua umeset a healthy boundary. No, before tuende hapo, I'm sorry. We can talk about types of boundaries. Nimesema throughout the week in our social media platforms, we are going to talk about boundaries. Different speakers will have different topics. Kuna moja wa relationships, kuna mwingine wa family work, na kuna mwingine wa how to reset it and how to maintain. But now, just on a surface, nataka tuongelele about types of boundaries. Types of boundaries. Let me type, what are the types of I think nimerudia. What are the types of boundaries? Yes. Ninakwama. Kwa sababu it's cause I was typing. I hope now I'm clear, and also I guess it's cause kuna message zinaingia kwa I think maybe I can put do not disturb sign. Yes, so yeah, what are the types of boundaries? Feel free, guys, to type that question to answer that question. Naweza wapatia moja even as we continue. I hope Abisa niko sawa. I hope ninasikika vizuri sasa. So number 1, there is the physical boundary. Physical, literal, yani you can come the thank you Abi, umeniambia uko sawa, niko sawa sasa, thank you. So kuna physical boundary. This is how far you can come with my personal space. Nimekaa hapa, maybe I'm not a hugger, as in mtu wa kuhug watu. Every time I say that word, it sounds funny. Maybe mimi si mtu wa kuhug watu. So I don't expect people to keep coming and giving me hugs, especially strangers. Nona, kuna hiyo boundary ya physical space. This is my personal space. You don't have to keep coming and touching me, because not everybody appreciates. And Mo is saying, thank you, Jaina, for joining. Physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, sexual boundaries. Yes. Emotional boundaries ni feelings, my feelings. Yeah, this is how far I can share about my feelings, and these are the specific people I can share my feelings to. And yes, even the emotional boundaries mean sexual boundaries ni understanding. There is a mutual understanding between you and your partner, and so there are limits. There are limits to how far we can, go sexually. If these are your fantasies, if these are my fantasies, we can sit down and talk, and we discuss. This is how far I can go. This is how far I cannot go. So you set a boundary sexually with your partner. Material boundaries, yes, material boundaries in terms of kenye tunamiliki. Setting a boundary on what you can share with somebody. If it is your car, yes, uko na beshte yako, ye kuomba gari ni sawa, and it's okay to give. But sometimes when you really need the car, na pia anataka, will you give them, or will you set a boundary of how many times you can borrow this car? And even as you're borrowing it, will I get it the same way I gave it? Swali kama hizo. Or will you just bypass and just keep quiet in fear of rejection, etc. Such questions. There's also time boundary. Are you the kind of person who demands too much time from somebody else? Una demand time mingi kwa mtu? Or do you give a lot of time to a specific person? And why do you do that? If they're not your family member, if it's not your partner, And what are your reasons for doing this? These are the questions you ask yourself when it comes to time. Abi anasema ya kazi pia, yes, there is work boundaries. Yeah, kazini. How much will you involve your colleague into your life? How much will you not involve them? Vitu kama hizo. Abi, you're asking, so you will not hug a stranger. Okay, in some cultures, Abi, kuhug mtu haikuangi really appreciated. And so in as much as how you would want to hug the stranger, of course, kama nyinyi wote wawili you're going for the hug, fine. But sometimes I think it is appropriate to just say hi, because a hug is a bit intimate. It's more than a handshake. And so sometimes it's good to be sensitive enough to know whether or not to hug this person, of course, if it's a stranger. So itakuwa poa sana to do that. Thank you guys for the interaction. And so sasa tunaenda kwa hiyo part ingine ya what do healthy boundaries include. How do you know you have healthy boundaries? How do you know mipaka umeset ziko healthy? How do you know these are healthy boundaries? Number one, the one way to know that you've set a healthy boundary with yourself, like uko sawa, you've set boundaries with yourself and they are healthy, is that you don't compromise your values for other people. This is what I mean in simple language. Kama kuna kitu una believe in, you believe in perhaps not eating a certain food, ama you believe in eating dinner at 6 p.m. Sindio, kuna watu wako hivyo. I believe in eating dinner at 6 p.m. So if I'm in a group setting and perhaps we are discussing, so when can we eat dinner, nini, and you find yourself compromising your values, that is just an example. The eating is just an example. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That is actually recommended. It's actually recommended to eat dinner earlier, so that as you go to sleep, hauendi ukidigest, usha digest, so unaenda kulala. So yeah, assuming okay, fine. Even me, Abi, I don't eat dinner at that time, and most people don't. I was just giving an example. So for example, you're with your friends and you are specific at the time you eat your dinner, especially if you're following a certain diet. And kuna difference between dinner and supper. Okay, hii ya jioni supper. So you're the one who eats supper you eat at 6. Yeah. I don't know, maybe you can tell me the difference. Okay, fine. Chakula ya jioni unakula 6, ya usiku unakula 6, na uwe by 8 umelala or something. And you meet a group of friends and for them they eat maybe usiku at 8. And uko hapo and you're not able to say like no, we una flow tu, and yet kuna vitu umeset for fear of maybe una fear like you're going to miss out. I think for someone who is in a position to actually state and verbalize, mimi nakulanga at this time, so I am not able to do this with you guys. So hata mkikula, please understand, mi nitakula mapema, nyinyi mkikula ni sawa, me I'll be drinking water at that time. Huyu ni mtu ameweka a clear boundary, haja compromise values zake zenye amekuwa nazo for a long time to please other people, because even as they are setting the boundary, they're not really hurting these other people. They're not hurting them. It's coming from a good place. So a person who has healthy boundaries is a person who actually knows how to communicate their wants and their needs. This is what I want. This is what I want. How do I say it? Or do I just keep quiet about it? No. I want help. You ask for help in a good way and from someone who you know can give you the help. So if you're such a person who can do that, you're a person who has healthy boundaries. And this cuts across almost everybody. You're able to communicate even at work. I don't think I'm okay with this, and I think maybe we can try this and this in a very civilized manner. Another person who kitu ingine someone with healthy boundaries does is say no, kusema hapana. No, no, I am not, no, no. It's a complete statement. And sometimes growing up hatujafunzwa kusema no. Tumefunzwa tu kusema yes, 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 kufanyia vitu watu, kukuwa always there, to always appear. But if you're able to say no and mean it, especially in situations unajua enyewe hapa mimi, if I do this I'll be lying to myself and to you guys. So if you're able to just say hapana, I don't want that, you're someone who's actually set a very healthy boundary. And remember, I said boundaries is equivalent to self-respect. So someone who can clearly say no to something, now of course it's coming from a good place. It's someone who actually is able to say, I respect myself this much, and I invite you to do the same. So I'm saying no to your request, and so what else can we do? A person who has healthy boundaries is someone who also shares personal information. You're able to share personal information in a clear way, but where you're not going overboard and you're also not going underboard. You're not too secretive. Yani, there's that art. Umelearn the art of sharing your personal information in a very nice way without going overboard, like saying every single detail of what you're doing, with who, where, and also you're not undersharing. You're just as in how kotu hapo uko, like maybe in a group setup and you're asked to say, so how was your day? And just saying it was nice. At least give us some information like, oh, my day was good. I met a friend today. We had some lunch and I felt good. So if you're able to share that kind of personal information for your day, how it has been, it's a bit general. Haina details za tulikula kuku alafu hata iko imeiva vizuri so tukaita waiter akakuja. No. Ama tu kusema I'm fine. No. Just give just share out your personal information. Of course, not too deep and not too light. Hapo katikati, balance it. If you're able to do that, you're someone who is able to know that you have healthy boundaries in your relationships, because there are some people who do not have healthy boundaries in their relationships. I can see kuna watu wamejoin. Thank you so much for joining. Evelyn Zula, I can see you. Thank you so much for joining. So something to note, even as we interact with each other in this country, we have a lot of tribes. We have different cultures. It depends on the culture also. Take an example of emotional boundaries, sharing feelings. Kuna cultures, you will not say that this person does not have boundaries because they are not showing their emotions. Watu wali grow up wakijua it's not okay to share our emotions and feelings, and so for them that is their lifestyle. And so when you're interacting with them, at least try and become a bit sensitive to this person and to the way they are sharing out their information and their life, to know this is where I'm coming from. And so si lazima this person to share something like that. And also it depends on most people have different boundaries settings. Like kuna mtu physical boundaries zake ziko on point, but time boundary hakuna. We have different type of boundaries. I don't think I think it's a good thing if we can all master to have all the types of boundaries. Yani, they are really set well and they are really balanced. I think it can be a good thing. But in case it's not, please know that we are all different, and different boundaries mean different to us. So kuna mtu maybe in their time boundary hawana kabisa, but their emotional boundary iko on point, physical boundary iko sawa. So I think it's just a matter of reflecting and getting to know where I am as a person. What boundary do I need to make sure iko sawa, ni gani I will uplift, ni gani nitashukisha kidogo, so that there can be a very good balance. So another question that I think this is the final question nitauliza. So why is it so hard to set boundaries? I think hii mtanipatia majibu. Let me type it in the comment. Why is it hard to set healthy boundaries? For that, for those who are online and are really enthusiastic in chatting and typing, kindly answer that question for me. There's no wrong answer. Just put in what you think. I will be happy to share it out with the audience. So as you do that, I can see there is a comment from Anmo. Understand my personal needs and wants and know how to communicate to them. All right, thank you so much, Joanna, for that. So guys, for those who are able to type in, why is it so hard to set healthy boundaries? Abby anasema I am weak. Abby, if you can maybe just give us a little detail as to what I am weak means, like weak in what area, like weak how we would like to. Good. Maybe you can just tell us what you mean by your weak, so that we can be able to understand, and the people who are watching can be able to understand where you're coming from. Or maybe peer, it means the same for them. So maybe you can just type it. We can see it. As you do that, Joyna is saying the fear of failing the other party. Yes, there's that fear of kuangusha huyu mtu mwingine, and you're not able to say no because unaogopa kumdisappoint, unaogopa miss out. And so that is why it becomes a bit hard for someone to set a boundary, a healthy boundary with people. Unaogopa, like, I think I'm going to miss out on this person and how I benefit from them. Of course, not using them, just how I benefit. And so if I say no to this person, I think I'll lose them. And I think that is one of the major reasons why people find it hard to set a boundary and to say no to someone, especially with close friends and relatives, or even at work with bosses. So that is a very good answer, Joanna. Thank you so much. There's also Abby has explained by I am weak by saying low self-esteem. Yes, that is a very good answer you've given, Abby. Low self-esteem can actually be a reason as to why you're not able to set healthy boundaries. And as I began saying, boundaries are like self-respect. Boundaries are a mirror to self-respect. I think it can be very easy for someone to know how much you respect yourself from the boundaries you keep or you've put in your life, your personal boundaries. And so if you're having low self-esteem and you're not able to value yourself highly, you're not able to affirm yourself, think positively about yourself, it becomes very hard to set a healthy boundary because your value is attached to somebody else or to something else and not you. And so the thing to remember is that you attach your value to yourself and not to others. And it becomes easy to now say no or to set a boundary because you've come back to yourself, you're able to now respect yourself, you're able to not compromise and to feel okay with yourself. And so having a very healthy self-esteem is a very good thing. It's a very good thing. And perhaps if you find yourself struggling, ask yourself why. Maybe it has stemmed from childhood and you don't understand where it's coming from. Maybe it's from the comments ulipata growing up. Maybe it's from the interactions, the relationships you've had in the past that have really broken you down to a point of now You no longer believe what about yourself. Yani, you no longer believe things about yourself. You're waiting for other people to tell you who you are. And yeah, Joyner has also said, kama ni job unaweza ogopa juu maybe it might make you lose it. It is true. It is true. However, I have heard of testimonials of people who went in for interviews, and they were asked, so how much do you think we can pay you? And so maybe they say a figure of perhaps 40,000 Kenya shillings, anasema 40k, and then they say we cannot be able to give you that, so we'll give you maybe that 5 or 30. And so unapata this person anasema yeye hakuchukua hiyo job na alisema this is what I'm worth, and if you guys cannot give me this, then me I'm gone. But I guess it's because maybe alifanya research na akajua these people are able to pay me the 40,000. And so if they give me something less, it's because maybe they don't want to value what I'm doing. Kitu kama hiyo. And so the person walked out and akasema, well, you guys will call me when you think you can pay me what I know I deserve. And they were called back actually, and they were given the amount they stated and even higher. So kuna hizo instances that can really open up our eyes into seeing things differently. But now when it comes to job, yes, mtu anaweza ogopa kidogo because you might lose it. However, remember I said it's just a matter of getting to know how far is too far, because hata kama ni job saa zingine, and if it's a pattern, it's good to also look in the workspace kama ni pattern inaendelea, kama imekuwa ni pattern and umefanya research yako vizuri, so you're able to now begin to reflect and ask yourself, so what can I do? You look for help elsewhere, maybe someone who can give you some unsolicited advice, some good advice, that is very subjective, objective, yani bigger picture kind of advice, and you're able to just make an informed decision concerning that. Or you're able to just sit down with your boss or whoever and just let them know this is what is happening, so how can we do this? However, we should always remember that our mental health is important, and so in situations as that, try to get the maximum help you can get. Maximum help you can get. Don't just make a decision out of emotions and feelings and thoughts. Just get maximum help you can get from the situation and get to know what to do, especially if your boundaries are compromised. Why is it so hard to set healthy boundaries? For anyone else who is able to answer that question, I'm happy to hear from you. Okay, so the statement of today, the topic of today was sometimes saying yes is a no to other people. And maybe tunaweza anza kureflect, ni mara ngapi umeweza kusema no ama yes to other people? I don't know. no like honestly, I think if you're someone who really struggles with saying no, you can try and say it in front of a mirror. It looks like a very silly thing to do, but maybe you can try and just do it in front of a mirror and just say no. No, 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 especially for people who are always the helpers, and also perhaps firstborns, watu wamekuwa in positions of always doing everything for everyone. Sometimes you can just set a boundary and say, guys, I think hapa mnanitumia vibaya. I think hapa you're going overboard, so maybe if we can try and see where we can meet each other halfway, like nyinyi mkuje na mimi pia nitembee, tukutane katikati, badala ya mimi kuwafanyanga kila kitu kila time. So verbalize. The thing with boundaries If they're not verbalized, they'll not be known. They'll never be known. Kama hausemi boundary yako, hatutawahi jua. So please talk in your romantic relationships. Verbalize in your workplace. Verbalize in your, where else? Family. Verbalize. Even to yourself. Verbalize. Like you can tell yourself, like I can tell myself, Grace. So this is what we've valued for so long. So why are you doing this? And yet you don't believe in that. Verbalize and tell yourself, Grace, hapa uendi, hapa uvuki. So always verbalize. No is a complete statement. That is a quote from a person called Annie Lamott. Yeah, if you can Google, you'll find she wrote a book. And so this quote comes from the book, No is a complete statement. It's a complete sentence. At a yes, it is, but also no is a complete statement. And so make sure as you are doing this, even as you're saying no, don't say no one day and then say yes the other day. Hapo hakuna consistency. People will not begin to respect you, and that shows disrespect on yourself. Yes. So as you're setting the boundaries, make sure there is consistency. Verbalize. Reinforce. Ukiona imevukwa, mpaka, the limit has been crossed. Please reinforce again. Remind this person, tuliagana, hapa ndio mahali nafika. So I don't understand why umevuka mpaka. And be truthful. Don't lie. Don't fall into the trap of being dishonest. Just be truthful and say this is the truth. I'm not able to do this because of this, and this. Make sure they are facts. Make sure it is consistent. Make sure you reinforce. Make sure it is verbalized. That is the way to ensure that your boundaries are really healthy and your boundaries are really set. So I am going to read you an interesting quote that I found by Susan Gregg. And this is what it says. No is a complete statement, and so often we forget that. When we do not want to do something, we can simply smile and say no. We don't have to explain ourselves. We can just say no. Early on my journey, I found developing the ability to say no expanded my ability to say yes and really mean it. My early attempts saying no were often far from graceful, but with practice, even my no came from a place of love. Love yourself enough to be able to say yes or no. I don't know if you have heard from the quote, and I think what I really got or went home with from that quote is when she says that her ability to say no expanded the ability to say yes. The moment uko aware of what you can allow into your life or not, you are now opening the door to knowing what you can now say yes to. This is what I mean. Kwa circle yako ya marafiki, kwa circle yako ya kwa familia, kazini, the moment people know that this is what Grace can or cannot do, the moment they know that, they will not be able to keep asking you to do that, because wanajua Grace will not do that. And so you will be creating more opportunities for saying yes, because now if they really want you in, now they'll now invite you to participate in activities that will warrant your yes, that will make sure that you say yes. And so your ability to say no opens up the opportunity for you to say yes more, because people around you will be able to know this is how far Grace can go with this. So Grace, I'm not going to give her the opportunity to tell me a no every single time. So what can I do for Grace to tell me yes? This is what I can do. This is what I can invite her to join in. So always ensure the person, oh yeah, I type in the person of that. She is called Susan Gregg. Susan Gregg is the one who made that quote. So, and she has also said that her early attempts to say no were often not from a graceful place. When you begin to say no, sometimes it may not come from a point of a good place, because now sasa ndio umeanza kuset hizo boundaries. But as you now continue, as you now begin to let go, you'll find that you'll be saying it from a point of love. This is what she says. And so you'll be able to say it more gracefully. So with that, my question is this: are you ready to set healthy personal boundaries with yourself and other people? Do you think it is time to do that? Have you reflected on where your boundaries are shaky, mahali zimebakisha tu kidogo? Maybe it's in the physical, the intellectual, the material, sexual, time boundaries. Kuna mahali umeona ni kama, I think this is where I'm lacking. So I am inviting any question or comment from the audience. Kama uko hapo uko na swali, uko na comment yoyote, we are 15 minutes in, and I can say confidently that I am ready for any questions or comments from the audience. Feel free to just type in a question or a comment as we get ready to wrap it up. Yes. And I had posted the pre-survey form. So kama uko hapo and you've joined us and you've been listening, you can kindly fill in the form for me. Nimei post kwa comment section. And as we do that, I would like to shout out to the participants of today. Abby, thank you so much for always joining our Facebook live sessions. Kevin Oyugi Oguma, thank you so much for joining. Joiner, thank you so much for joining. Today, you are my 3 participants in the comment section. I know there are some people who have liked the video, and I'm going to get to know them later. I cannot be able to see that right now. So thank you so much, guys. I'm still waiting. Can we categorize some boundaries as strict ones? Maybe you can give us an example of a strict boundary. I think even as you begin to maybe explain further, I'm just thinking, I think it just comes from a point of where you are at life. Because if you're a parent and you set boundaries for your children, it will appear strict because there's what you want to shape in their lives. And also it also appears with the person it depends with the person you're interacting with, because when someone anakunyima some opportunities and you're begging them akusaidie, also they are becoming strict or harsh. Yeah, I don't think I can really call them strict. I think I can just I think, okay, it depends on the relationship you have with this person. If it is a child parent, that's a bit strict. If it is a boss employee and you've been umesetiwa some time boundary, that is a bit strict. However, now when it comes to a friendly setting, I think they are a bit lenient. So yeah, there are some boundaries that can be strict. Yeah, they can be a bit strict depending on the relationship you have with this person. And sometimes you'll find yourself you'll find people telling you this, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too strict on yourself, even as you're setting some boundaries. If you're a bit rigid and you're not able to, experience life and just go on an adventure because you're fearful, you'll see someone telling you you're being too hard on yourself. What's the worst that can happen? And you begin to reflect and you realize, I was being too strict on myself. The boundaries I've put on myself were a bit, a bit harsh, a bit strict. So yes, I think some boundaries can be strict. Yeah, thank you, Abby, for that question. Anybody else with a question, a comment, a concern? As we type in our questions, I would like to inform you that as Nzumari Africa, we are offering free psychological services. You'll find our poster in our Facebook platform, our Twitter platform, our Instagram platform. You'll find the number there. So feel free to reach out and get the help that you need. Psychosocial support will be there for you, and it's free. And also check out our social media platforms. Today evening on our WhatsApp group, we'll be having a topic on boundaries, and specifically on the work setting. So the topic is healthy boundaries equals to work productivity. So feel free to come in and interact with us. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm still waiting for a comment or a question. Anybody? Kuna mtu yoyote akona swali? Yes, at the end of the session, I will post the post survey form. If you're there and you're watching, if you will come back later to watch, please, you can fill the 2 forms for me and I'll be very grateful. It's just in a bid to know how you're doing, how we can improve our services, what you'd like us to talk about, and how we can reach you. So there have been no more questions or comments. I think I would love to finish the live video here. It's always a pleasure. I am Grace Kasiva, the psychologist on board for now for Nzumari Africa. We are located in Huruma, St. Daniel Komboni Church. That's where you'll find us. Yeah. So thank you guys. Bye-bye. Bye, Abby.